All right, great. All right, we have started recording. Again, thank you for joining us today for our Lunch and Learn. January 15th, we are going to do FAFSA and CASFA updates. Then we are going to go right into post-secondary options programs that we have here at the department. And I will go ahead and hand it over to, I believe, Cody, you're first.
Yep, I've gotcha.
Thank you.
I believe I am shared and ready to go. Do you all see my screen?
Yep. Yeah, we don't see the full slides. We also see all of your little headers as well.
I, I thought it was on view.
Cody, I think you can just press the present on in Teams, and that should.
Thank you
work.
so much.
So there we go.
Hey, there we go. Cool. I've never done it that way. All right. Well, thank you all for your patience with the initial difficulties as well as my specific ones. But I will go ahead and jump in with the FAFSA updates, and we'll be brief to make sure we can get through our agenda today. So again, my name is Cody Eden. I am the FAFSA coordinator for the Colorado Department of Higher Education. Three big highlights this week. The first being Happy FAFSA Completion Week. It is this week, January 13th through the 17th from the U.S. Department of Education. You all may have remembered one of these at the end of last calendar year. We really want to help push conversations in buildings at all levels to support FAFSA and in Colorado, selfishly CASFA completion for all financial aid applications for our students. To support these efforts, the U.S. Department of Education revamped some of the resources and re-highlighted them, so I've added them here. They do have some physical resources coming in 10 common languages, and I've recently learned there is 60 plus languages supported in addition over the phone with those instructions on the slide. Their YouTube page is one of my favorites, and I recently noticed they just updated last week in concordance to this upcoming completion week. So that might be worth a revisit if you have not, or if you've already been there, or check it out if it's new to you. So again, a big push trying to get conversations started. We are absolutely here to support, and you'll see some of our resources coming soon. Number 2 on my updates, I think that slide has changed. Communication with students from mixed families, a continued hot topic this year. If you were with us in our last Lunch and Learn, we had made some notes, so I wanted to give some updates based on what some of our organizations are saying at the moment. Each of these links here, the NASFAA, as well as the President's Alliance, those links are specific to great resources, just a very quick and concise article for each of them. So do take a look at those when these are posted. But so just some highlights that they're mentioning. First, from the National Association for Student Financial Aid Administrators, some highlights include validating student feeling and concerns. Of course, this is a very specific population with very specific concerns. So doing our best to understand and support accordingly. Avoiding speculation and asking those personal questions. Our role should be to provide information based on what we have, and absolutely encouraging those conversations at home to make the most informed decisions best for that specific family. There's so many levels to this that is really the best guidance we can give is here's the information we have, talk at home and make the best and most informed choice. Some highlights, we are all probably familiar with the Privacy Act and FERPA, but those are linked if you'd like to dig in. Again, that President's Alliance is the more concise link that'll break things down for you. But this one has some suggested communication and will help you communicate to your families and students. It is of all of our knowledge right now that there has not been FAFSA information used in the past for immigration purposes. That's something we know. And the continued guidance is also to monitor sources like these organizations moving forward as they continue to put out information. So again, not a huge update, but reiterating the support for these families, and it is possible with support to get those FAFSAs and or CASFAs completed for those specific populations. One final quick note I want to highlight, another FAFSA resource from Adams. They're doing free FAFSA Saturdays. So if you have a student-parent meeting support in Spanish, there are interpreters on standby for these events. And I apologize, it is Friday and Saturdays based on the information there. So just another resource for you to put in your back pocket and lean on as needed. With that, I will transition to the next speaker. I believe we're heading to CAFSA updates.
Thanks, Cody. I'll do those. Okay. I am actually Jennifer Lucero, Outreach Navigator for the department. Sophie Vogel is our CASFA coordinator, and she is going to be out until the 1st of February. So I will be doing the CASFA updates. Oh, there we go. Okay. The first and foremost, the CASFA application is open. If you know students and families that need to fill out the application, they can go to this website and do so. As of last week, we had over 2,600, 25 CASFAs completed, and just over 400, 26 CASFAs. So they are starting to roll in. Remember, a student will fill out either the FAFSA or the CASFA. They will not do both. So you can help them make that determination. And if you do have questions, we recommend that in Sophie's absence, you email the CASFA inbox. The address is here, casfa@dhe.state.co.us. There are some events coming up that you may want to prepare for. Of course, we always have the Lunch and Learns once a month. The next one will be February 19th and March 12th. The QR code will take you to the registration for those. We also have our educator financial aid trainings coming up. The Ames Community College event will be February 13th. And then we also have one in Alamosa at Adams, February 28th. This QR code will take you to the registration. Please feel free to share this with any educators that you know who may be interested and are in those areas as well. And then, of course, we're always available if you need help with events or if you have students and families who are looking for assistance completing their FAFSA or CASFA. We do provide office hours as well. Just mentioning also the Adams, one thing that I want to mention about this that is so generous of Adams to do is that anyone can call. They'll help any student who's plans on attending any school, which is very generous. But if you do need to get in touch with us, please feel free to use any of these emails. They are the best way to reach us, whether it's the outreach team, FAFSA, or CASFA. And that's all I've got.
Great. Thanks, Cody and Jen. So in the interest of time, I'm going to go ahead and put in our questions for today. We had two questions and the notes for those questions. Cody was going to answer both of those, but Cody, I think we'll go ahead and skip these and I'll put them in the chat. They will also be available on our website after today's event, as well as this recording. Just so we can get the post-secondary options navigators going on their part, and I want to make sure they have enough time. So here are the two questions, and again, we'll post those as well on the website. So I will go ahead and hand it over to the post-secondary options navigators, and they're going to go over the 3 programs that we administer. Take it over, ladies.
Okay, I will be pulling up our presentation. Okay, what can you guys see?
We see the full thing, not just like the
Okay.
slide.
Let's see if this works, this option. Is that better? Ah, why is it saying file is empty?
You just had it open.
Yeah, let me see. Can you see any that?
We can see the full presenter
The
view.
fall.
Can you try display settings maybe? Technology has given us a run for our money today.
Let me try that present in Teams because it worked for you all. I'll try that one more time.
Yes, it worked.
Looks good. Looks good.
Wonderful, wonderful. Hi, everyone. Sorry about the technical difficulties. Happy New Year. My name is Phyllis Gabermichael, and I serve as a post-secondary options navigator with the department. And we're so excited to share this information with you all today. We'll be talking about post-secondary options for students with unique circumstances. So we work with programs, financial aid programs, for students that have been in foster care or who have experienced homelessness. And I want to take a little bit of time out before we get started to talk really about what our roles are and what we do. As a post-secondary options navigator, there are 5 of us on the team, and we really serve as advocates for our students. We work with the entire state. We split up the state where we work with school districts, counselors, support staff within the high schools. We work with nonprofits, as well as the Department of Human Services and the Department of Education within the state. And we're able to help students complete admissions applications, financial aid applications. We work very closely with our wonderful CASFA and FAFSA coordinators on staff, and so they're a wonderful resource as well. We have direct lines of communications to the financial aid directors at the colleges and universities within the state. So we're really able to connect students with resources that they're needing, as well as navigating the programs that we're going to talk about here today. So with that being said, we're going to dive right into our programs, and I'm going to do a little agenda overview. So we're going to talk about our 3 programs that we manage. We'll give an overview on eligibility, award amounts, and the application process. We'll give you all the information you need to help students complete the process. So we'll talk about our ETV, our Education and Training Voucher Program, as well as our Foster Ed and Empower Ed programs. And we will provide you with contact information. And towards the end of our presentation, we'll leave some time for questions as well. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Teresa.
Hi, my name's Teresa Fowler, and I'm one of the post-secondary options navigator, and I'm just gonna dive right into ETV. So ETV stands for the Education and Training Program, and it's federally funded and administered by us, the Colorado Department of Higher Education. The program provides financial assistance for students who have experienced foster care as they pursue a post-secondary education. This program has been running for a very long time. We have been managing the program for a few years now, and we've had so many applicants. So we're excited to keep going on with it. So the ETV eligibility criteria, students have to be between the ages of 17 and 25. They have to be a U.S. citizen or qualified non-citizen, current Colorado resident, and were in foster care on or after their 14th birthday. And then we have 3 ors that are very important. Or they were in the Division of Youth Services, community placement on or after their 14th birthday, had a finalized adoption with adoption assistance on or after their 16th birthday, or had a guardianship assistance established on or after their 16th birthday. And then finally, they have to, of course, the students will apply and we'll go through that whole process, but they have to be accepted into a degree, certificate, or other accredited program at college, university, technical, or vocational school. And of course, they have to be meeting satisfactory academic progress. And students can receive ETV funds for 5 years, consecutive or intermittent, of post-secondary education, regardless of the number of credit hours completed during their enrollment. So students can receive up to $5,000 per academic year. Individual student cases may vary. And then how we disperse the funds, they go directly to the college that the student is attending, and they can be used for tuition and fees, books and supplies, housing, transportation, living expenses, childcare, or other school-related expenses. How to apply. So students will complete the FAFSA for the appropriate school year. They will obtain their confirmation of foster care experience form, and then they will submit an application, which can be found on our website. Right now, the 2024-2025 school year application is still active. However, I do want to mention that funds for this year have been depleted. So we've had a massive amount of applicants, and we've been able to fund as many students as the money that we have. And we want to make note that the new application for the next school year opens March 1st. So we're really trying to get the word out to have students on March 1st or very shortly after complete the application so they can get in line to receive their funding. And now we are going to go into our other program called Foster Ed, and I will let Katie talk about that.
Thank you, Teresa. Hi, everyone. My name is Katie, and I will walk us through Foster Ed today. So Foster Ed is also geared towards students who have had foster care experience, and it is the state-funded version. So ETV is federally funded. Foster Ed is our state-funded program administered by our department and provides financial support for the similar population. There's also a lot of overlap with eligibility, but some distinctions. So we're looking for students who are current Colorado residents, and we work with our public in-state institutions to help determine and confirm that residency. We're looking for students who were in foster care in Colorado on or after the age of 13 or in non-certified kinship care with an adjudication for neglect or dependence pursuant to the Colorado Children's Code. So the non-certified kinship care can get complicated, and we're always happy to help with determining eligibility. We usually have to work closely with our partners in the Department of Human Services to help to confirm that eligibility for kinship care students. We're also looking that students are attending a state public institution of higher education, which can include our local district colleges, technical colleges, and 2-year and 4-year institutions, and that students are currently enrolled in courses leading towards a certificate, associate, bachelor's, or postgraduate degree. So foster ed will cover graduate degrees if a student has not exhausted the credit limit. And we're also looking that students are meeting, if they're continuing to receive funding, that they're meeting satisfactory academic progress, just like with ETV. And that is defined by the institution of attendance, but generally means maintaining around a 2.0 or 2.5 GPA and completing a certain percentage of classes. To note, foster ed as a state-funded program is also available to undocumented students. And foster ed will cover up to 132 semester credit hours or 198 quarter credit hours, starting from the time a student receives funding. So any credits earned prior to joining will not count against them. And there's no age limit for foster ed, unlike with ETV. So students of any age. Right. And foster ed is considered a last dollar scholarship. So it will come in after all other sources of financial aid have been applied and cover the remaining balance of a qualifying student's total cost of attendance. So the cost of attendance, like Teresa had explained, that can cover a lot of the categories that are listed above. It is determined by each institution, but it is always more than just the tuition and fees. So there's always a provision for housing, whether that's on campus or off campus, other kind of relevant living expenses, and then even specific needs for individual student cases that could include childcare, maybe help with transportation, other examples like that. So a student would work with the financial aid office at their institution to understand their specific cost of attendance. But it does tend to be more comprehensive costs. And the financial aid office helps us determine, again, that award amount, since it can also fluctuate with how many credits a student is enrolled in each semester. So we work really closely with our financial aid liaisons to determine how much foster ed covers. And then of that total amount for the cost of attendance, whatever is left for cost of attendance, the state pays half and the institution pays the other half. And we do send our foster ed funds directly to the institutions to be dispersed to the students. All right, and how to apply. We currently have students self-identify with their financial aid office. We do not at the moment have an online application the way that students apply to ETV. So the first step a student would take would be to obtain their confirmation of foster care experience form. And our website has pretty detailed information on how to complete all of the steps necessary to access foster ed funding. And there's specific information on how to obtain this documentation. If students don't have it, they can contact a caseworker or their local county service, human service office where they experience care. And then we'd have a student complete either the FAFSA or the CASFA, again, since this is available to undocumented students for the appropriate school year, and complete the ETV application if they're eligible, since ETV does require U.S. citizenship or qualified non-citizen status, as well as it has the age limit. We'll have a student complete a foster ed FERPA consent form that is on our website. And then they'll contact the foster ed liaison at the school they are attending. That is a person in the financial aid office, and they'll self-identify as a student eligible for foster ed and provide proof that they completed their FERPA form, their ETB if applicable, and that they have their documentation about their experience. And then we'll go over what documentation is usually accepted, just to emphasize again that we're here and working closely with the Department of Human Services whenever there's any question about eligibility. As it can really vary on a case-by-case basis, but we'll take a peek at the confirmation of foster care experience form and the foster care dependency form that we often see. And again, non-certified kinship care will pretty much always run through human services to verify. As mentioned, if students don't have these documents, they can contact the county in which they experience foster care. All right, and here we see really typical confirmation of foster care experience form. With this, we're always looking at just that it's the seal for the state of Colorado is up there, that it's labeled the confirmation of foster care, that it includes the student's name, their date of birth, and then we'll look really closely at the removal date. As I mentioned before, the eligibility requirement that a student have experienced foster care after the age of 13, there's no minimum time that they had to spend in foster care. So even one day after the age of 13 would qualify the student. So we just look really closely, doesn't matter when they began foster care, we're looking at when they were removed and if that was after the age of 13. of foster care dependency that we would see from the courts. And we're looking for very similar information up there at the top, that the student's name is there, that their date of birth is included, and again, that end date or removal date. Okay, and then we have just a quick slide to show comparison, since foster ed and ETV overlap but have some important distinctions. I just want to make a quick note too. Before I dive into this, for foster ed, we're looking for students to identify, hopefully before they start classes, but at least within the same semester that they're requesting funding. So we've had a few cases where students have just failed to identify with their institution, and then maybe the following semester, they're not realizing it until they're trying to register for classes and carrying a balance. So we just want to say we're really trying to streamline our process and have students identify during that semester. And we did just have some small updates to statute passed with the last legislative session, which clarified that institutions we'll have a website that publishes information about foster ed and empower ed as well for students. And so that's been really helpful, just to, have institutions help us get the word out so we can make sure students are hearing about this, who may be qualified, and that they're identifying in time to receive funding. So just to overview really quick, foster ed is state funded, ETV is federally funded. Foster ed does not have an age limit, whereas ETV is looking for students to be between 17 and 25. Both programs are looking for current Colorado residents, but foster ed is available to undocumented students and non-US citizens. For ETV, we have those several qualifying pieces. One of the main ones being a foster care experience after the age of 14. And for foster ed, we're looking for foster care experience or non-certified kinship care with the qualifying pieces on or after the age of 13 and in Colorado. For foster ed, we're looking for attendance at an in-state public institution. Since ETB is federal, we can pay ETB funds to out-of-state or private institutions. And we're looking for students to be, enrolled in classes in an accredited program, that they've completed their FAFSA. And then for foster ed, it could be the CASFA application. And for foster ed, we do ask that students complete the ETV application if they're eligible. ETV, the maximum award would be $5,000 a year. For foster ed, will cover that remaining cost of attendance, whatever is left after other financial aid is applied. And ETV can be accessed for up to 5 years, don't have to be back-to-back years. And for foster ed, there's no time limit and no age limit, just that credit hour limit. I'll pass it on to Shannon now for Empower Ed.
Well, I'm actually going to take over Empower Ed to kick it off. So Empower Ed is our newest program that we're so excited about. It kicked off July of 2024. And Empower Ed, just to give you a little bit of background, in our work out in the high schools and talking to other nonprofits, we really saw the need to have a financial aid assistance program for students that were experiencing homelessness. As we were doing our outreach for foster ed, this became really apparent that there was a need for this type of program. And so we're really excited to share this information with you all. Again, we do administer it. It provides higher education funding and support for students that have experienced homelessness and were identified as McKinney-Vento eligible. That is a key point that you'll often hear us refer to, the McKinney-Vento eligibility in the presentation while enrolled in a Colorado high school. Want to take some time as well to define what is McKinney-Vento. So McKinney-Vento is a Homeless Assistance Act. It's a federal law, and it provides important educational rights and services to pre-K through 12th grade for children and youth experiencing homelessness. So there are two categories here in terms of the eligibility. So it has to be homeless youth and children. It means children and youth who lack a fixed, regular, and adequate nighttime residence. So if you take anything from the McKinney-Vento definition here, think of fixed, they lack fixed, regular, adequate nighttime residence. And so that can encompass a variety of things that's listed here. It could be economic hardship, staying in motels, trailer parks, or campgrounds due to the lack of an adequate alternative, or staying in shelters. Unaccompanied youth, this would include homeless children and youth who are not with their family. They're not in the physical custody of a parent or guardian. So let's talk more about eligibility requirements. Some of the requirements, they're loosely modeled after the foster ed program with some minor adjustments. So number one, students have to be identified by designated school personnel as a homeless child or youth pursuant with the federal McKinney-Vento Homeless Assistance Act that I just defined. And while residing in Colorado anytime between the start of 9th grade and the end of 12th grade. So for example, if a student was identified as McKinney-Vento in 10th grade, just 10th grade, they would meet that eligibility requirement. It doesn't have to be only in 12th grade for that to happen. I know other states, they follow that model where students have to be identified in 12th grade, but for our eligibility purposes, it could be any time between 9th and 12th grade. Students have to be between the ages of 17 and have not reached the age of 27. They have to be a current Colorado resident, and they have to be accepted into an in-state public institution of higher education, local district college, or area technical college. And number 5 is really important, and it differs from the foster ed program in that students, they need to currently be enrolled in courses leading towards a qualifying first degree type. So what that means is that if a student already has an associate's degree, they are not able to pursue a second associate's degree type. They are open to pursuing a bachelor's degree or a certificate of completion. But where it differs again is you can only use this funding towards a first degree type, and it does not cover graduate courses either. Students also have to meet satisfactory academic progress, as Katie and Teresa mentioned for the other programs, and they have to complete a FAFSA or CASFA application for that academic school year. The Empower Ed program is also open to undocumented students as well, so I wanted to make note of that. And students have up to 132 semester credit hours or 198 quarter credit hours.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to take it over from here. My name is Shannon Walsh. I'm also one of the post-secondary options navigators, and we're just going to wrap up our Empower Ed discussion here real quick. So for the award amount, similar to foster ed, Empower Ed aims to cover the remaining cost of attendance after all other financial aid is applied. That includes FAFSA, CASFA, any Pell Grants, all institutional scholarships. Once all that other aid is applied, Empower Ed will come and scoop up whatever the remaining student balance is from there. This extends to beyond tuition and fees, but to cover housing on or off campus, transportation. For some special circumstances, childcare may be available. We offer laptop stipends, so we really try to meet the needs of students, and by meeting this financial need, help them to focus on their educational goals a bit better without that extra stress. Similar to foster ed, the institution's financial aid office does determine the actual award amount on the individual student level. There are a few factors that go into this, such as like credit amount, location of the campus, and the like. The state will pay for 50% of the remaining cost of attendance, and the institutions will cover the other half of this. Empower Ed funds are sent directly to the school for disbursement to those students. So whenever the Empower Ed scholarship goes through, students are able to check this on their student account, whatever their portal is, and be able to see how much the total cost of attendance is, how much is factored out for each section and scholarships, and what Empower Ed covers. The application process is relatively simple. We just ask that students complete a CASFA or FAFSA and indicate current or past experience of homelessness. They have to be accepted and enrolled at an accredited in-state public institution of higher education. So this only applies to public schools in Colorado. And then the big piece of this is completing an Empower Ed application. Our one for the 24-25 school year is currently open. We anticipate the one for the 25-26 year to open on March 1st, same date as the ETV application. We try to make it simple with that. And for the most part, once a student submits their application, they should be good to go. We will be able to verify with our database from CDE to qualify the qualifying experience. However, there are students that fall within the data gap. If they were to graduate for, like, example, this current year, if they graduated after October 23, we don't receive their data from CDE until the following January. So we are not able to verify their experience within that time period. So we do ask that those students fill out a McKinney-Vento verification form. We ask that this also be signed by the McKinney-Vento Homeless Education Liaison for the district they graduated from, as they're able to do the documents review from the student records and be able to verify qualifying experience. So beyond that first year, for those students, this is really only for students who graduate and then immediately go to college that following year. So outside of that initial year, they really shouldn't need to turn in this form again, because ideally they will be in CDE's data and will be able to verify their experience with that. So relatively simple process right now. This is an example of what our current McKinney-Vento verification form looks like for those students that fall within the data gap. We just ask for some simple student info, name, date of birth, social security number. I believe this upcoming one will ask for their SACID, their state identifier number. Just outline some of the programmatic requirements, and has a section at the end of it for the McKinney-Vento liaisons to fill out and complete. So relatively simple. It's just, and right now we are working on getting these forms out, the updated form for this upcoming school year, out to the liaisons. We're working on getting that finalized this week and are hoping to be able to push that out in the upcoming weeks pretty soon here, so we can get everyone prepared for that March 1st opening. And that is the end of our programmatic information. If you have any questions about the programs, how to apply, anywhere within the process, we encourage you to reach out to our team. If you're looking for a specific county or school district, you can scan the QR code in the first box all the way to the left, and that should take you to an interactive map that if you hover over the county, it'll show you who your navigator is, reveal their contact information, email, name, all that good stuff. If you have more general questions, feel free to reach out to if we're foster ed and ETV, feel free to reach out to that top email address, fcnavigator@dhe.state.co.us. And for Empower Ed questions or application questions, anything with that, feel free to reach out to that second email address, eenavigator@dhe.state.co.us. And we have our 3 program websites linked in the far right box as well.
Great. Thank you for that, Shannon and Phyllis and Katie and Teresa. That was great. I know Katie has her hand up, and then there is also a question in the chat. So Katie, do you want to go ahead and go, and then we'll address this question?
Yeah, actually, I was just going to draw attention to the chat question. So that's, yeah. And how it relates to the form that Shannon was showing, the verification form, since that does ask for SSN. I could read. Shannon, can you see the chat question? It's just about undocumented students qualifying.
Yes, sorry, it was taking a minute to load. Technology today. What's going on? Yes, so McKinney-Vento students, even if they are not documented through as a U.S. citizen, they would be able to qualify for this program. However, they do need to have their McKinney-Vento experience documented through CDE. So through their school district, they'll report to the state, who reports it to us. So that answers that question.
Great. Are there any other questions?
We do have one more that just came up in the chat. It says,
Great.
what if change of placement happened outside of Colorado? Do they still qualify? Just to clarify, I'm assuming that we're talking about foster care placement here. And in which case the placement must have taken place within the state of Colorado. We can't accept placements outside. If you have any other questions, feel free to drop them in the chat or unmute.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Great. All right. Thank you all for joining us today. Again, we will be recorded today, and so we will post this on our website as well as on the Post-Secondary Options Navigator or Options Programs website. So check back later for the recording. Thank you all and have a great day.